做记者的这段生涯里吧，最成功的一个问题，不是一个记者对一个嘉宾，而是通过这个问题引起了一个男人对一个女人的兴趣。因为据说骆大使就是接受你的采访的那一瞬间，然后就爱上你了。
No， 我们先是朋友。甚至朋友很久，因为我不要 I didn't want to date a politician because I was a journalist. So I felt for me, I wasn't sure that I trusted politicians so much. And my career, I have to be very ethical. So we were set up on a blind date, and I didn't really want anything to do with him. So.
What do you mean blind date?
Blind date is
who
when
set this up?
The TV anchor at that time. I was a reporter. The TV anchor at the station. I was in town 3 weeks. She went to church. Someone else at church that she knew worked for my husband.
Okay.
So the two of them were talking. And they said, "Oh, I know a single woman," and she says, "Oh, Gary Locke is looking." So they set us up. But when I heard it was a politician, I said, "I don't want to go." And then the anchor said, "But I already set it up. Just go one time."
Okay.
So I went one time, and then
what was the first impression? Now I'm becoming.
The first impression was I was surprised because 他穿短裤 and T-shirt. So wow, he's very casual for a politician, right?
Yeah.
But I like that because he didn't have an air about him, right? He was just a normal person. So it surprised me.
你那么年轻美貌，我相信一定那个时候很多人追求你啊。
You know, I did. It's funny because there were a lot of good friends, right, who were men and friends who had money and boats and cars, but I became best friends with Gary, and I think after a while I ended up falling in love with him because he was so honest. He was really honest, and he was my best friend, and I trusted him, and
accountable.
Yeah, accountable. And many people say that he's the rock in my life because he's there, my foundation. Because I have all sorts of interests, and I, excited to be so many things, and he always keeps me stable. And for him, I add the fun.
He was like an anchor.
He was like an anchor, and I was the fun.
Right.
So we're a good balance.
我特别想知道，就是骆大使他改变了你对政治家的一些看法。你们从多长时间从朋友变成恋人，然后是一个什么样的契机
？When you feel so close to someone, because we would talk for hours on the phone, because really he was a public figure, and I was in the public as a reporter, so we didn't want people to gossip. We didn't want people to gossip about us. So we spent a lot of time on the phone talking. And I think I felt so close to him. And the turning point was one time I asked him, I said, we were getting more serious. And I said, I just have a couple questions. I said, first, he was in office in the government. And I said, what if I, as a reporter, came across something, an impropriety, something that was illegal, that was happening in your office? What would you expect me to do? And he said,
that's a very serious question.
And of course, I would expect you to report on it.
Yeah.
He said, that's your job. That's your duty. And first of all, I feel comfortable because you're never going to stumble across anything like that. And the second thing I said was, I'm very young and I moved very quickly. I was in Seattle's a very large market in the States. It was my second job. I said, I can go very far in this career. So would you be open to moving for my career? And he said, I love Seattle. This is my home. I was born and raised here. He said, but I would be willing to move for your career, provided someday we would return home.
But it seems he was making such an effort to impress you.
Yeah, he had to.
You know what? He told me something when I had the opportunity to interview him when he was the Secretary of Commerce. Look at this.
Oh.
我有证据啊。
Do you think yourself as a gifted salesperson?
No, I don't think I'm a gifted salesperson. Mona is a very attractive and beautiful person, has a lot of people that would love to, I think, pursue her. So.
But that was very courageous and romantic.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So we can see that Gary realized he was facing a lot of competition, and if he has to do it, he had to do it quickly.
1994年， 事业一片坦途的骆家辉担任了全美第13大县景郡县的郡长。这年春天，骆家辉用前所未有的方式策划了一幕让李蒙惊喜又意外的瞬间。同年10月15日，骆家辉和李蒙共结连理，而骆家辉浪漫的求婚故事也被他们的朋友和当地居民传为一段佳话。
What happened?
What happened?
Under what circumstances did you see the banner? Was that a surprise?
We went out to dinner with another couple and good friends of his. And afterwards, he said, well, why don't you come to Mona's apartment for dessert? And I said, what? I don't have anything in my apartment. He said, oh, it's okay, just come to the apartment. So they all came to my apartment. I hadn't cleaned it. I said, I don't even know what I'm going to serve them. So we got to the apartment and he put a blindfold on. And then he led me into the elevator, right? And the elevator went to the top of my building, was a balcony, a deck. And so it overlooked a lake. And so he walked me to the side and he said, look, and he pointed in the air. And there was a plane, Fei-Ji, right? And it had the banner with the words, I love you, Mona, will you marry me? So it was circling.
Well, but you said you were not ready to be married before 30.
Right. Well, I was married just at almost 30.
Almost
You
30.
can't control love.